Selfishness isn't doing what you want to do. Selfishness is demanding that everyone else does what you want them to do. The first one, that's just being alive. The second one, that's playing God with other people's lives. But here's where it gets wild. The deepest kind of selfishness turns out to be the deepest kind of love. We've been programmed to cringe when we hear the word selfish, like taking care of ourselves is some kind of sin we need to confess. But have you ever stopped to notice something strange? You can't experience anything except from inside your own head. You can't borrow my eyes or rent my feelings for an afternoon. You're stuck being the exact spot where reality crashes into consciousness. When this really hits you, you realize something shocking. You've never been anything other than selfish. Not the cheap kind where you steal someone's parking spot, but the plain truth that every single thing you've ever felt has happened inside you. The real question isn't if you're going to be selfish. The real question is whether your selfishness stays tiny and scared, or grows so huge that when you take care of yourself, you end up taking care of everything alive. From the time we're kids, we soak up this quiet belief that caring for ourselves means stealing from someone else. Love and time and attention start feeling like there's only so much to go around. If you take a big piece for yourself, somebody else starves. But watch what happens when you really look at this. When someone accuses you of being selfish, they're usually being selfish right back at you. They want you to put them first. Sometimes it's obvious. Other times it's dressed up in nicer clothes. They might not even want it for themselves. They want you to do it for somebody else entirely. At first, that sounds pretty noble, right? But dig a little deeper, and you'll see it's still about what they value, what they think is right, what makes their world feel organized. They'll say things like, "You really should call your grandmother. That's what good people do." Or maybe, "You need to show up at that event your buddy's counting on you." But hold on, whose version of good are we talking about here? The grandmother isn't the one nagging you. It's them wanting to live in a universe where everyone acts according to their personal rulebook of how humans should behave. We usually think selfishness only shows up in the small stuff. The roommate who never does the dishes. The coworker who takes credit for your idea. But walk a little further into this and something bizarre appears. That same self-focus is hiding inside the things we applaud as generous. This isn't trashing kindness. It's just being honest about how humans actually work. Every choice you make passes through the filter of your own feelings, your own wants, your own personal story playing in your head. Once you catch this, you stop trying to split life into selfish versus selfless. You start seeing the single river running underneath both. And when you spot that river, you can't unsee it. It's in the stranger who helps you pick up dropped groceries. It's in the teacher who stays late to explain something again. It's in the lover who holds you when you're falling apart. Under every action, no matter how beautiful, there's a quiet hunger for something we want to feel, something we want to know, something we want to become. This doesn't make it fake. It's what makes it real. Even the most pure kindness starts with something personal. The hunger to see beauty in the world and to taste it in yourself. This isn't an attack. It's the exact reason beauty exists at all. You donate money not just to feed hungry kids, but to feel the rush of being generous, to build a world where goodness is real, and to live inside that world yourself. You love someone not because a rule carved in stone demands it, but because being near them makes your whole body feel electric and alive. What we call sacrifice is really just the heart picking the version of peace it can actually sleep with at night, like a mother pacing the floor with a sick baby because her own rest is tangled up in the baby's breathing. Looked at this way, selflessness isn't the opposite of caring about yourself. It's caring about yourself stretched out bigger. It's happiness in a wider screen. And without that happiness, nobody would do anything at all. To really see how self and other connect is to realize that loving yourself is impossible without loving everything you used to think was separate from you. The line between me and you is a handy story we tell, but it's not actually there. Your happiness is woven into the happiness of everyone around you the same way your heartbeat is woven into your whole body's survival. This idea and philosophy that all human actions come from self-interest. It's not trying to insult anyone. It's just describing what's actually happening. Every feeling, every thought, every move you make flows through the same channel, which is you. But here's where the view explodes open. The small self is your body, your name, your personal drama. The big self is the entire universe having an experience through your eyes. A flower doesn't bloom to make the bee happy. It blooms because blooming is its nature, and in blooming, the bee shows up. When you truly care for yourself, you're caring for the whole wave of the ocean, because the wave is the ocean wearing a different shape for a moment. The heart beating for itself is also beating for the whole body it lives inside. Your joy feeds everything around you. The highest form of selfishness is realizing there's no actual wall between you and the world. That caring for yourself is caring for all of it because you are of it. If you're not selfish enough to keep yourself tuned up and running smooth, you've got nothing to offer anyone except static and noise. To be tuned up is to move like water moves in a river, not fighting, not freezing up, just flowing in whatever shape your riverbed makes. It's the oak tree growing from oak roots, not twisting itself trying to look like a pine. It's living from your center, instead of scrambling around trying to please the edges. When you're selfish enough to care about your own ease and peace, you're being selfish on behalf of everyone who meets you. Your energy leaks into every room you walk into, the same way one guitar string in tune will make another string start humming without anyone touching it. This kind of selfishness isn't turning away from people. It's being so completely yourself that your presence feeds everyone around you without you even trying. What you give isn't something you built in a factory. It's just the natural spillover of feeling at home inside your own skin. And the more you spill over, the more that line between me and you starts dissolving like sugar in hot tea. The self you think you're feeding isn't just this little package of flesh and bones and memories you call me. That's just the costume you're wearing. The real self is the ocean pretending to be a wave for a little while. Every experience you have of another person happens inside the movie theater of your own mind. You've never actually touched anything outside yourself. A friend's laugh, the heat of the sun on your face, even the hand you're holding, all of it shows up as sensation happening in you. So when you serve yourself, you're serving the world because the world isn't somewhere else. It's happening inside you. The highest selfishness flips into the highest generosity. Because when you're lined up with love, that love doesn't sit still. It pours out into every life that crosses your path. When the wall between self and other melts away, the urge to control people loses its power. You start seeing life as a dance instead of a drill. If everyone actually did what they truly wanted, the world wouldn't collapse into chaos. It would fall into rhythm. Everyone would taste freedom. And freedom is the cure for every nasty feeling you've ever had. Because every nasty feeling, if you trace it back to its root, is just the sensation of losing freedom, the feeling of being crammed into an expectation, a role, a should that scrapes against the grain of what you really are. And relief doesn't come from fighting harder. It comes from sliding back into your own natural current, returning to the flow of what you actually are underneath all the programming. When you live from that flow, you're not dangerous to anyone. You don't need to force or beg. You're relaxed inside the game of being alive. When selfishness is really understood, it stops being about grabbing and becomes about keeping yourself full to the brim. From that fullness, love pours out without any effort, and just being around you becomes food for other people's souls. True selfishness isn't the ego hoarding everything for its tiny separate self. It's the whole recognizing that when one part is thriving, every other part gets lifted up automatically. Selfishness at its highest isn't the petty scramble of the small scared self. It's seeing clearly that the self and everything else aren't two separate things. When you drink water, existence drinks. When you laugh, existence laughs. And when you love, existence remembers what it is. We've been taught to shrink selfishness down into something shameful. But the truth is, the purest selfishness is the purest gift, because there's no such thing as joy that belongs only to you. The second you feel it, it spreads outward in your voice, in your eyes, in the way you stand in a doorway. This is why the best thing you can give anyone is to live in a way that lights you up from the inside. Not to make people like you, not to prove you're good enough, not to put on a show, but because the fullness of your own being is the most natural gift you've got. If you really got this deep in your bones, you'd stop trying to split life into selfish and selfless categories. You'd just see the great tide of being moving as you, moving as me, moving as the trees and the rain and the stranger buying coffee in front of you. One movement, one happiness, one life enjoying itself. So be selfish enough to choose joy, selfish enough to rest in peace, selfish enough to overflow like a fountain that can't help itself. Because when you feed yourself, you're feeding the whole ocean of everything that exists, and the ocean is dying of thirst for your joy. To be selfish this way is to see that you're not a tiny drop lost in the ocean, but the entire ocean condensed into a single drop. What burns bright in you burns bright in everything. And when you choose to be full, you become living proof that the universe is already spilling over with more than enough,